see if that goes on.
Live, baby, from the Thunderdome.
Right. Okay, welcome back, guys. So, episode 3 of On the Hook. So, today we have Beaten Nurse, we've got Nio, we've got Pedge the Entitled, aka Cptsalty, we've got Rosie, and we've got SkinnyQuinny. So, today, I think most of the chat is probably going to be around MMR, but let's see how we go with that. So, how is everybody, guys?
Good.
Intimidated by SkinnyQuinny, bro. That's always
Still
how I am in these
intimidated
chats.
by SkinnyQuinny.
I know, dude. That's how my entire Sundays are. Just waking up. Oh, shit, SkinnyQuinny, bro. He's gonna shut me down again today.
I was told there would be a salty captain, and I'm disappointed because I haven't talked to him in a while.
Cptsalty is here, just changed his name. I'm taking it you enjoy Survivor Friends now, because that was the last name, wasn't it? Survivor Friends hater. Now he's called Pedge. Pedge the Entitled. I'm sure there is a story behind that name. So, right guys, okay, good to hear that everyone's well. MMR, what do we think, guys?
I don't think I should start on this one. I think we'll let people start before I get involved.
So I'll jump
Rosie
in.
can't. Yeah, Rosie can't start. Rosie has to transition.
Yeah,
now. Hold on.
Rosie's character development isn't ready for season 2 yet. All right, here we go. I think it's okay. I don't know. My nurse games, having nurse being my most played killer, I've pretty much steamrolled everyone I play against. Then my Huntress game, which is probably my 5th most played killer, I got the absolute just obliterated for 4 matches. Yeah. And then other killers, the matchmaking was tremendously just awful with killers that I play very consistently as well. So it's a little all over the place for me, at least as of now.
But it was expected, wasn't it? Like you design a game around one killer that can counter everything. And that's the only killer that does well in this whole MMR system, you know? It's a fundamental problem of the game. It's just like, it's not balanced around killers having a fair chance of winning a game on the same equal level. And then you saw it. Like, I single-handedly put down the stupid statistics of Pig being the 3rd best killer in the game by killing rate by playing MMR with Pig on high MMR, you know? I single-handedly put down that shit. Like, kill Apocalypse, okay? Just because I knew it would happen, because the game is not balanced enough to make other killers viable. And to say that, of course you steamroll as Nurse, because Nurse ignores everything that is in this game. Like all the tiles that are problematic for all the other killers, Nurse just ignores. Nurse has no problem with the new game map because she can just blink through walls and pellets. Any other killer, even Spirit, has to break the God Pellet, because the God Pellet is literally just in the middle of the map, and you have to break it to get to the other side of the map, you know? That's how broken this palette is. You know, it's like basing a game around something that is, it's not fun to play against a Nurse, or Nurse works. It's just, that's what's expected, because this game is not balanced for killers to be able to win, even though they play better. It's something like that, and that was what MMR showed in this moment.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
Nio?
honest. When it came to MMR, it went like this. Okay, MMR's in time to queue for a Legion game. Oh, that's half an hour queue time. Okay, finally got the game. Oh, the game cancelled. Yeah, I'm done. I just got stupidly long queue times just for a game to get cancelled, and I just couldn't be effed playing anymore.
It means you were the #1 Legion player. You should be happy about that, and Behavior is going to send you a medal and 100 work cells.
Yeah, take that, Tat.
So, yeah, I mean, that's it. If you're good with Legion, you're going to have to queue a bit longer to get skill-based matchmaking with somebody along the same lines. So, what does everyone think? Did everyone say about the thoughts, by the way? I haven't missed anybody out, have I? know Rosie's not here at the minute.
I've got to jump in now.
Yeah.
I intentionally did not play the game during the 24 hours in big air quotes that it was active, because I don't really like the idea of MMR and I wasn't really up for dealing with the queue times and the rank being just terrible. So I avoided it, but I did come back the moment it was turned off, again in massive air quotes. And ever since it was quote unquote turned off, I've had nothing but sweaty Swifts abusing their perks and being toxic, and have pretty much had to fight uphill battles every single game I've played. Like it's the equivalent of like being in a poker tournament and a dude against me has got full house and I've got a single pair, and that's literally the only like I'm expected to try and win with that. Like that's what it feels like. I do not like the concept of MMR, no matter the game. I think it's a stupid idea to essentially punish good players by putting them against even better players until they eventually lose, and then you get locked into this system of, oh, you just lost your last one, well, you'll win your next one, oh, and then you're going to lose the next one, and you just get locked in this stalemate of maybe once or twice it might tip the scales and you might win two when you're expected to lose the next, but eventually you're going to get put in situations where you're just constantly against people who are better or roughly equal to you, and you'll either barely win or lose, and then you're just stuck in like rank purgatory, basically going back and forth, back and forth. I can see why they want to implement it. I can understand the changes it would bring about and the stats that would get revealed, you know, all the things that would come, and I understand how that's healthy for the game.
Yeah.
But we were discussing this before the podcast, like we already understand that this game is survivor side. We understand that perks are in their favor and just everything is that way. This is common knowledge among the community already. I don't see why they need to turn on a matchmaking system that's going to ruin the fun in the game, at least for me, and turn every game into a sweat fest just because I happen to be a decent killer with a certain character over like just to prove stats. It's mind blowing to me that this is common knowledge, and yet they still want to turn on a system to get solid numbers behind it. You don't need solid numbers. We're your solid numbers. We're the community. Ask us. We're the ones with thousands of hours in the game. You know, we are your numbers. You don't need to turn on a system that in my opinion would just axe the matchmaking time. It would be awful. But like I could go on for hours. I'm sure I'll bring it up again later, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we've got plenty of time to talk about it. See, you've said a couple of interesting things there, Skinny. Now, for me, I agree with what you're saying in regards to the queue times, because having to wait long for queue times is going to be awful altogether. However, in regards to skill-based matchmaking, if we don't bring it in, we're carrying on saying everything's fine. Now, I released a video yesterday. I did put on that I'm currently happy at the moment. So I'm playing the games. I'm just getting on with my life. Everything's going fine. However, when I'm hearing about the bigger content creators saying that, yeah, it's just going to be Nurse and Spirit, or they've been rage quitting because they've been playing sweaty games, should they not be matched against people like that? Not saying they need to have a sweat fest every time, but is the whole point of the game is that they're going to be paired up with people who are on their level? Because at the minute, so my example is, I know I've brought up about the 50 win streaks. So the 50 win streaks to me highlights that that it's shown that killer's good. So if someone gets a 50 win streak with Pig, for example, the devs will look and go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Pig, because this big content creator can go out and get 50 wins with them. The twins are a perfect example with Dowsy. You know, every time I mention to people that the twins aren't good killers, the first thing that people say is, well, Dowsy got 240 kills with them. Now, the first time when matchmaking gets switched on, he gets beat by a Survivor Friends team, and I know they knew he was going twins and were well prepared for that, but he's then saying,
and it was fractured couch set.
Yeah, and he was saying on his video, I watched it this morning, and he's saying basically the twins aren't good against high level Survivor Friends. You know, that's why you don't see him in tournament. But on the other hand, he's had 240 wins with them, showing that the twins are actually good killers. So that makes me think, am I a bad killer? Because I can't use the twins to that level. But because the matchmaking's not pitting him against people with his level, of course he's going to get wins. You know, what do you guys think about that?
So I will say the twins actually are a very underratingly good killer in general, regardless of anything that Dowsy's done. It's because it requires that specific hag play style of down somebody, put Victor at a hook them, and then go somewhere with Charlotte and Victor. It's like your motion sensor. The way the twins are based is it's even worse than hag. It's a very campy, proxy campy type of gameplay. I do think the twins are actually a little bit better than people generally give them credit for. I just think people don't like playing as the twins. I think it's just a boring killer to play as, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Maybe they are underrated. Maybe I just haven't put the time.
The problem with that game of Dowsy was that showed the real issue behind it. It's not just matchmaking. It's fractured cowshed. It's map-wise. But the problem was not the tiles, because those survivor friends just reset the game all the time because they healed against Victor because they were stream sniping. That was the game. That it was Team EMA, which was basically stream sniping, so they could find the game and Dowsy could find the game because they were in queue for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It showed the real problem is survive with friends. Communication, planning against the killer, and basically beating the killer without the killer having a chance. They know where Prince was all the time just because of how they played with communication. The map didn't even matter in this moment. Okay, it was a big map, but it's twins and Victor's 150% movement speed, you know? That just shows that it's on top of people knowing what they do, that team play is not countered in this game. The killer has no way of countering good team play, which they should have, because a killer should get at least a chance to 2k every game to make it consistently, because if a killer plays really well, and he played well, but he couldn't get anyone done, like I think he got 4 hooks or something in this whole game, but they all reset the whole time because they just perfectly countered the twins, which is something that is one of the bigger issues, is that survive with friends is in this game. And MMR basically means that if survive with friends play, they just ignore MMR. It would be cool for solo queue, but because solo queue is rare, what is MMR doing? And that shows the real problem with the game is actually just teams, coordinated teams that are able to communicate and having the one up on the killer all the time.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Joe Cobra, you've commented there saying, the thing is, the head dev has said for us to play something else if it's hard as killer. Is that wrong for them to say? Yes, because it's our money we invest in that, what I call a trash game. So not happy with, I think I know which comment you were saying, you know, with the developers saying it, but whether it was valid or not.
Basically, go play Civilization.
yeah, I remember seeing it, yeah. So yeah. It has that little bit of feel about it, but this is why I think MMR needs to be brought in. That's what I put in the video. I did put a comment on today saying I think people are misinterpreting what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is someone like Scott Jund is saying it's going to be boring because we're going to have only Nurse and Spirit, then that for me is the issue, is that we are only saying there's 2 viable killers in the game. Is there more than 2 viable killers, guys?
No. I'm back now, guys, by the way. Yeah, it's hard to jump in. Hard to jump in. But, you know, the main issue in the game always has been that there's only 2 viable killers. There is not more than 2 viable killers, never has been. Maybe that there's some people that are close. Hag's kind of close, Freddy's close. These people are always close. And the reason that you can see people cite that is, of course, almost stats. And, you know, all their kill rates are going to go down. Like, if you bring MMR to the game, all of those killers that are quote-unquote almost viable, their kill rates are going to drop, okay? Yeah. And because their kill rates are going to drop, it will become clear that they're not actually viable. Like, if we put MMR in, Freddy Krueger's kill rate is going to drop to probably maybe 50% within the first few months. Like, I really think they should reconsider his nerf if they put MMR in. I really believe that. Because if they put it in, he's going to drop real fast. Just like every other killer will. And I know it shouldn't take MMR to make that fact known to people, but the fact is, like, we can all sit here all day and say, well, we know the game is survivor-sided, guys. We know that. Bruh.
Yeah.
when the kill rates were released, people were like, "Oh, look at that, guys! The game is killer-sided. Look at that proof, ultimate proof. This is the only proof we will ever need," they said. What a dangerous statement, one, to begin with that. This is the only proof we will ever need, meaning our minds will never change to begin with. Okay? And when you have a dev like Almo, like, I'm sorry, guys, Almo can't reason. He's not good at reasoning. He needs to see it. Okay? In a perfect world, we have devs that go, we don't need actual stats to know that the survivors are stronger than the killer. But these devs need it, apparently. That's why Kill Apocalypse is so necessary. You have to go in. Dowsy needs to lose. All these people need to lose. So it's a more visible problem. Because only saying it's 5% of games, and once it becomes like what percent of games is the balance a problem? That's what we need to ask ourselves here as we move forward.
Yeah. AQ has commented to say he thinks Freddy should be in there as a viable killer as well. I would personally agree. I do think Freddy's certainly the top 3 for me, but is he as good as Nurse and Spirit? Different question. No?
Nurse ignores everything in the game, so no one is better than Nurse. Like, if you base a game around one Band 8 fixed killer, which is Nurse, it's a terrible design game. And not only Freddy should be viable, but Clown, Trapper, all those killers should be viable. Like, if you are really good at Clown, you should be able to at least 2k every game. Because skill should matter, but it doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Just going to a question we've been asked as well, guys. Merv has asked, what is MMR? So I think it's probably only fair that because we assume that everybody knows what it is. So MMR, Merv, is basically skill-based matchmaking. So it goes on how well you do with. It's meant to be on certain killers. Am I right with that, guys? It is. Each killer's going to have their own rating, aren't they? Yeah.
Each killer will have their own MMR.
Yeah.
Another point I need to talk about.
Yeah, we'll come on to that now, Skinny. Give me 2 seconds. So if you play Nurse a lot and you are good with it, you will get higher skilled opponents when it's matchmaking. The issue that people had was that it was taking quite a while to get you in that skilled opponent. If you play, say, for example, Deathslinger and you're terrible with him, then you will probably get lower skilled opponents. So it's going to be like matchmaking system based on that. Skinny, go on ahead. It's all yours.
The one of the big problems I have with it is the fact that it's based on individual killers. Because I could have really, really high MMR on Blight, for example, and be like a top tier Blight going against decent teams, and then switch off to someone like Clown to like practice my Clown and do that. I'm still a 2,200 hour rank 1 killer. Like, I still know the basics. So those low MMRs, while I might be new to Clown, I'm still going to stomp the lower ranks because I know how to mind game and like play a just base. So like the problem there is the fact that it's not account-based MMR. I mean, it would be difficult to do account-based MMR based on how so many killers play differently. I mean, especially if you play Nurse, she's probably the most different one, and then you try and switch to another killer and it'd be quite a different experience. But the thing is, if we're going to tie MMR to each individual killer, at the end of the day, that doesn't take into account people who've put hours into the game. Like I said, I'm 2,200 hours. I can play most killers, at least to the basic degree, well, but like when it comes to using specific powers, that's where the skill cap is, and that's why the problem with like doing it unique is going to be annoying, because the low ranks are going to get stomped if you've got high hours, no matter who you play.
I have a response. This is something I've tackled a long time ago. I've been doing videos on MMR for quite some time, so like I've dealt with all this in my head. What you do to deal with that, Mr. Skinny, I know you're trying to shut me down here, but what you do to deal with that is this testing that they should have been doing for all this time should have been getting an individualized MMR for the account. You start with the account. We should not do a transition to MMR that affects every killer immediately. If the MMR should first start with the account. Once the system is working, then what we do is you break off the MMR, and so every killer of the player's account, it has the same MMR attached to it. That way, if you main Oni, and your MMR as the entire roster goes up as you play Oni. And then once it breaks off, once you play Clown, you'll be getting the survivors that you would be getting on Oni. It's up to the player, if they want to learn a new killer, to go get their MMR knocked back down. So it doesn't affect it does not affect those low ranked players. It affects the high ranked players. If you want to learn a character such as Nurse, It's your job to go in there and get your MMR down. You have to prove that you're dedicated to pick up a new character.
So I want to point out one thing. So my problem with the whole MMR thing, and this is also something that I've seen in some of Rosie's stuff, is he tends to say stuff about, the variables and the Scott Jun thing, which I 100% agree with, because I think the whole point is no matter how much it works, the extra RNG and variables are basically additional MMR. So take a top like Dowsy and take the survivors he plays against being the same MMR. Now throw Haddonfield on and just that's extra 500 MMR for the survivors. Or put Shelter Woods and that's a little bit more MMR for the killer in a sense because of just how random things are. Same thing with medkits. Are medkits going to determine how your MMR is for Survivor? Survivor MMR is static. What about the perks? What you're playing against? What add-ons? There's just so many different variables that can carry you there. And with having maps and stuff, when it comes to MMR, it's not like games like Smite where the objectives are just very similar. You can make small, like minor buffs to make characters viable. You have a game that relies so much on MMR, and then you also have RNG maps. And then if you start doing things like adjusting maps, if you make the maps just smaller, you make Nurse and Spirit stronger. And then you have to go into the whole thing of individually making every single killer Nurse to Spirit tier, which is also very dangerous because I think even as a killer main, we can all agree that we generally stay between ranks 1 and 4. And even though ranks typically mean nothing, the games that I do lose is typically all red ranked teams. So I feel like that holds of enough value to say that the MMR system does have too many variables, and I generally don't really think MMR is going to be good because of the idea of keys, med kits, and different maps.
Well, this is what I'm trying to push in regards to MMR, because I agree with everything you've said there, Peter, in regards to there is a lot of variables, but at the minute what we're saying is that we don't want the skills matched because we can then overcome these variables in regards to it's masking an issue. So my thoughts on MMR, and I said to the guys on the Discord just before, is that I think Dead by Daylight is a successful game. I don't think anybody disagree with that. It's been out nearly 5 years. It's still got a strong base. So the devs aren't going to do any major changes that's going to break the game as it is at the moment in regards to how it is, the survivor side, the killer side, whatever. But for me, they need to see that actually there is things that need to change, and the only way they'll do that, because we know they go by stats. Someone's already mentioned Elmo. So if they're looking at the stats and they're looking at people getting 240 wins or whatever it was with certain killers, to them, they're going to be like, yeah, job's done, everything's fine. And they're not taking into account the fact that, yeah, some of the maps are unbalanced. You mentioned Haddonfield there. Very unbalanced map, very survivor-sided. The fact that the killers are releasing aren't strong enough. So for me, I just want them, and I don't expect them to go and change all the killers, but I do expect them to look at this MMR if it does come in and go, right, yeah, we need stronger killers. So as I say, I'm not expecting a wholesale change of the game, but I'm wanting them to see the stats on what it's really like. So it's all right, like I said on my video, if you are, you've got 9,000 hours and you're playing survivors with 300-400 hours, then of course you're going to beat them survivors 9 times out of 10. Regardless of the map, you can go on Haddonfield and you've just got that much experience. And is it diluting the stats? Is it giving a false narrative of what the game is actually is at the moment? And when MMR kicks in, is that going to give a true reflection?
Yes, of course it will. Because what happens is, what MMR is, I like to compare MMR to a flashlight in a dark room. It shines the light on everything. Like when you say, everyone talks about there's too many variables, and they go into this, and this. This is why I say even discussing MMR moves the game in a positive direction. Because you're talking about it, and then you go, well, what about all of these issues? Well, the thing is, these issues should have been taken out of the game 2.5 years ago. They shouldn't be in the game any longer already. The fact that we're bringing up these things, map RNG. Map RNG should have been deleted 2.5 years ago. Iridescent Huntress should have been deleted 2.5 years ago. All of this stuff should have been deleted 2.5 years ago. Making Nurse and Spirit the strongest killers in making Nurse and Spirit will be broken once 115 is viable. 115 is what should be viable. Once 115 is viable, then you nerf Nurse and Spirit. This is all supposed to be done in steps. And the problem is we're 2.5 years behind of where we should be right now because we haven't been balancing around the top 1%. Because we haven't been doing that, these changes that should have been done already for when MMR is here and ready to come in the game, the system's really working. Because the game itself isn't ready for it yet because of the fact that this stuff should have been taken care of already. The fact that we have to shine the light with MMR on this stuff now proves how late we are and how bad our analysis is. Not saying whose analysis is bad, but somebody's analysis is very, very bad. That we're doing this now in 2021 and 2016 issues are still in the game.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So with me, Aloe, Potato, who plays Legion most of the time, Tatariu and all them, and pretty much most people I know being able to stay at ranks 1 to 4, what's the negatives of not having an MMR system when people can still stay at these ranks? Despite such a terrible pipping system for the killers, by the way, because the Devout and Malicious Emblem are both bugged, generally.
Yeah, now, if I answer that question, so again, I know you mentioned the Discord before, and it does make, it makes sense what you said because we're all loitering around in red ranks, but the pip system is flawed. However, I think sometimes we'll play a misbalance of teams. I'll admit that sometimes happens to me as well. If I play a really, really good team, if I'm playing as anyone other than Freddy, then unless the team makes major mistakes, which can still happen at any level, whether they're top tier or not, and I capitalise on them mistakes, then it's usually quite a bit of a sweat fest. If I'm playing Freddy, but again, that's probably down to the hours that I've put in with him as well, so I'm trying to balance that out as well and go, well, actually, if I've played a lot of hours with him and I know the fundamentals behind him, then I feel that it's not consistent how it is, and it was a shame because when MMR kicked in for that 24 hours, I only played games as Trapper, so it did work in that sense because I very rarely played Trapper, and I could see as the night was going on, but I should have really, in hindsight, played some like Freddy and seen what type of games I got to see if it actually picked it up. So that's my answer with that, is I'm not sure if it's actually the matchmaking being broken at the moment is actually giving me a true reflection of how I am as a killer. Does that make sense?
Yep. The MMR worked for me as with Plague. I had my fourth game as Plague, and the fourth game was 4-man survival with friends, 2 objective obsession, 2 boxes and 1 band new part. And I was like, you really want to tell me that after my 4th game of Plague, I get those teams? No, because it's again, survive with friends breaks everything in this game. Like even MMR doesn't work with that shit, and it's something like. It won't fix it for the lower ranks. It's something like people that are not good in this game, they won't see any changes in this MMR system because it just makes it for the top tier players, if they are really good, to have a chance against that. If they balance the game around that shit. That's why you balance around the top 1%, because for the people that already don't know what the fuck they do, nothing changes. For the people that know what they do, for example, if you change a tile that is super safe to an unsafe tile, people that don't know how to loop that will go down. People say this game is killer-sided outside of everything that is not high level. Those people will get downed anyway, even if the game right now is heavily server favored. Those bad players will also go down. And those lower ranks are for learning. You're not expecting to win in the early game, in early ranks. It's for learning the game. And if everything is so safe that you don't have to learn anything, what's the point of it? This whole MMR system is right now, because this game is terribly balanced and tiles are a problem, and like Rosie said, no 150% movement speed killer is viable, just because of how terrible the tiles are made. And those tiles actually make it so that those safe tiles just make people that don't know what they do like feel incredibly safe, but people that know what they do break the game with that shit. And it's something with MMR that shows it right now, because the game is not made to counter good team play. It's not made for that. And that's because of so many things are all against the killer. Like the loops are not in the favor of the killer. There are still too many bullshit tiles in this game. They should just remove all safe tiles and add LT wards, which is by far more balanced. And stuff like that. That all adds up, like Rosie already said. It's like all those problems that people were telling them the game has to change, but they have to change something about the fundamentals of the game and not just add something like new HUD or new animation no one asked for. Those issues that were in this game since the beginning are still in the game. And now with the MMR, it shows. And it's a good thing that it shows it. And people are ignorant to those facts for too long.
Yeah, and that's hopefully, I mean, that's where I'm coming from. I think there's a lot of things that are good in the game, don't get me wrong. I think there's a few things that, yeah, you know, they do need slight adjustments. And I'm not, when I talk about it's MMR, I'm not saying the whole game needs a restructure. But what I'm saying is I'd like to see the stat after the skill base is set together. So,
the game needs a restructure. Like, don't lie about that shit.
Well,
agree.
It's like, I know, Cptsalty and Rosie, I know you both think there should be a major restructure, but like I said beforehand, so we play a bit of devil's advocate here, is the game successful? I mean, just that one question. We'll go down the list. Do you think the game's successful? Beta and S, do you think it's a successful game? He's gone.
From a business standpoint, absolutely.
Yep. Nio?
Considering to buy all the DLCs is more than $100+ and how many people generally actually do it, definitely business standpoint.
Right, okay. Cptsalty, I know you're going to say...
But then I don't understand why it's in such a shitty state. If they just would just use that money to improve the game where it needs to be improved. But why is it in such a shitty state? If it's so successful. For me, this game has no soul. The player base has no heart and soul and passion for this game, and just doesn't care about things that are issues in this game. That's why what you see in Scott Jones' video, oh, it's boring to play high level, it's just nurse and spirit. Yeah, why? Because you, son of the bitch, with your fucking entitlement and brainwashing of your fans and the developer listening to those big content creators that held this game hostage for 5 years now, they will never change something because those really big entitled crybabies will just be like, oh, it's not fun, I don't want to play it anymore, I will just stop playing this game. It's like, dude, go then, I don't need you here. Like, we want passion player for this game that actually want this game balanced. Purge the entitled.
I think that's very unfair. As someone who's watched every single Scott Jones video and pretty much try to watch most content, he's constantly bashed the devs for the UI and doing UI when nobody asked it, for making stupid object of obsession statistics. He constantly bashes Almo. He bashes all of them. The problem is the devs don't listen to their fog whisperers. Otz, when he first started playing the game in his first few years, especially when Pig was around and no gen regression and all that, he had a lot of complaints, and it's just a matter of they don't listen. They admitted themselves that they are lucky to have a job, quote unquote, where they pretty much can work when they want. They just don't listen to their fog whisperers at all. Tofu used to voice his opinion in his very early days, but even he's to the point where it's just like, you know, he's played the same game for so long. He said he just pretty much only plays it because his audience wants him to. Said if he could switch to another game, he would. Like, I've seen all of them voice their own like frustrations and stuff. It's just they don't listen to their fog whispers. They don't.
Yeah, then I should say I don't want to be a fog whisperer anymore. Why don't stay? Like, if you're just like an advocate for making the money for the devs that don't listen to you. Why staying fog whisperer?
I think
they make enough money off of streaming. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen anyone like just say no. I don't want to be a fog whisperer. But
I mean, you get free stuff in the game with fog whisperers.
Don't they just give you charms and stuff?
They give them cells. They give them free DLC. They give them more blood points and PTBs and stuff. They just give them all the advantages they need to make easy content.
Yeah, and I think as well the thing you've got to remember is that, and I called them professional players yesterday, and that's what they are. You know, it's their livelihood at risk here. I work during the day. I'm presuming everyone here does as well. You know, we don't, or do whatever, but it's not a full-time thing for us, so it's possibly a lot easier for us to sit here and go, well, if I don't like it, I'll just play another game, but it's not dependent on people watching us. So I think we've also got to give them that sort of credit to say, not credit, but to say, well, actually, that is the game is their livelihood as well. Let me just quickly go to a few questions here. AQ said, is there a developer in here? He's confused. There's no developers in here. It's just, we're all content creators. Mev, Legion needs a buff. We'll find out once MMR kicks in. What do you think about adding an explicitly religious character, wearing religious clothing? I think you asked this last week as well, I'm trash, but yeah, that's fine. I don't really have any thoughts on that. If they add it, they add it. And I think
my problem with that is Tofu said something like every survivor should have a 50-50 mind game at tiles. No, it's a killer fucking objective. Why should the survivor have the power to decide of how good a killer can be an objective? Like, if the survivors have the power in 1v1, why do we even play fucking killer then? Like, if you can't even do your objective without the bratty survivors having something to say about it, you know? That's something like, that's why the game is bad, because people like that have this opinion, which is stupid. It's just fucking stupid. Like Jin saying, oh, top tier is not fun and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's not about fun if it's not fucking balanced. And just because you don't like playing against Spirit and you say Nerds is okay because, hey, Nerds is so much more skillful because we can't complain about that shit. Hey, Nerds is even more broken than Spirit because Spirit has to deal with God pellets and Nerds can just blink through them, okay? Like, saying that Nurse is not a problem for the game because no one complains about her because she's skillful is just a fucking bad double standard again.
True.
Something like Spirit being, oh, it's unfun to play against. Like, ask Farmer John how fun Nurse is. Oh, I don't dodge Nurse. Guess I die now. Oh, I juked her once. Oh, she's recovering from her blink. Oh, she gets me now. Like, there's no counterplay to Nurse. There is no counterplay. You can just juke her, but you will never escape a Nurse. And the fact is that she can blink into the basement, she can actually grab you if she times it correctly. There's nothing you can do against a Nurse. But Nurse is a band-aid killer because the game is not viable. The game is not based around 150% movement speed killer being viable because tiles are so broken in this game. Still, we moved a lot of tiles, but they are still broken things. Got a pig tree, for example. The God boss. Like, something like this should not be in the game. Overly safe tiles where survivors have the complete control over how the shades is going are bullshit. And that's something like Nurse ignores. That's why Nurse is even more broken than Spirit, because Spirit has to deal with God pellets. Like, something like that. That opinion is such a stupid thing. It's just like double standard inside this community. Well, it's like...
Sorry, go on. Carry on, I sort of interrupted you there.
And that's something like you can see it in the Autofocus coaching series. He says so much bullshit that the people have to do that. Like, do you even know how to play killer? Oh yeah, because they said, oh, you can easily win that. Yeah, it was a 4 minutes of your friends with 3 flashlights and 2 brand new parts. How can you win that shit? As a new guy, you know? Like, you can't win against that shit because survive with friends in its essence is a thing that breaks the game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how good you are as a killer, if you're not playing Nurse, you will lose to that shit on the highest level. And that will never change if they don't tackle the issues that is so fundamental in this game, which are tiles that are favored for the survivors, not for the killer. Like, survivors have too much power in 1v1, which makes the 1v4 far too difficult for a killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, interesting you mentioned about Autofocus videos there, because I actually enjoy his killer reviews. I watch them quite a lot. And it's obviously always good to look back in hindsight. And Beaton's done it on a few of my videos, checked out what I'd done. And generally you'll find things that probably did go wrong that were in my control. Sometimes you might be against tough teams, you might not. But there's always a way you can win, or a way to... What's the word I'm looking for? Not win, because you're not always going to guarantee to win, but you're getting a better opportunity to try to get the kills. Let me just answer one of the questions here. One of the questions has come in. So it was from Joe Cobra. What are your thoughts on True Talon's comments about hooks over kills and easy to rank up? You completely disagree, because you've been playing a year and not made it past rank 4.
Oh man. Okay, can you answer that something?
Go on and answer it, yeah.
Okay, he says the Pip system is the perfect system in the game. It's like, what the fuck? Like, if you played Plague on the Pip system, you will never Pip with Plague. Like, holy shit. Like, if you ever play Pig, if you ever try to Pip with Plague and play the game like it's supposed to be played in quotes, because it's not. There's no way to you have to play, because if you would have to do hooks to win, why is there bleed out and why are morals in the game? You know. It's something like that. If you play Plague or someone else that is not really of chasing that much wave, you don't get people with that shit. If you play them like they are supposed to be played, like this Pip system is the most stupidest thing ever. And that he says like it's a good ranking system. It's so easy to rank up in that shit. No, it's just not. And this hooks versus kills debate, we already had that. It's just like, no, you should focus on killing them. If you just hook them, you have 8 hooks and they all get out, you lose as a killer because you are a killer, not a hooker, you know? Something like that.
For the hooks versus killers debate, we've had this conversation on season 2, episode 1, was it?
Yeah.
So if anyone's asking about the hook versus kills, to have a full in-depth conversation, to have a full in-depth opinion on this, I would recommend going to that video and having a look at it there.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed. I don't really have anything to add.
No. Okay, so last thing about MMR then. Anyone else got anything
Rosie
to say?
versus Skinny. Rosie versus Skinny. Table match
Well,
right now, Intercontinental title.
Well, you see, I would like it, but like the problem with me is, like I said, I was busy with the girlfriend, and I missed the entire first 30 minutes. That's why I kind of had trouble finding my footing. If Skinny would like to reiterate, paraphrase what he said, we can discuss it.
Oh, your girlfriend. Yeah, who is she? I bet she goes to another school. Don't lie. Come on, Rosie.
Stop flexing it.
But yeah, basically, it's like a direct opposite situation to back when 4.5.0 came out, and I said I liked the changes, but I didn't agree with the fact it did them. It's like an opposite of that, where I don't like MMR. I don't want it implemented. I don't want this game to turn into a sweat fest. I don't play this game competitively. I play it for just some casual fun, and I shouldn't be punished for being decent at killers.
Yeah.
But I can agree with what changes it would bring. I can agree with that, you know, it would highlight the issues with like certain killers being the only good viable ones, or certain perks being busted, or Swift being broken. That's basically what I said about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, so if you agree it would highlight the problems with the game, then I don't think we have an issue. If you don't like it, I can't do anything about that. I can't make you like it.
Yeah, that's just an opinion thing.
Yeah, I can't make you like it, but if you understand the objective good it will do, there is we don't exactly disagree. And I know we were actually talking before we were actually on here today about how you could do, and in order to like level out the amount of sweat that would bring to the game, you could do a ranked and non-ranked mode, and then to alleviate the queue times, you could do ranked is only available certain points of the day. This is exactly what Identity V does to deal with the amount of sweat that their MMR system would bring. You just make ranked available. Ranked is only available 3-4 hours at a time, and then ranked goes away, and then you have to, if you want to play the game, you have to do quick matches that don't affect your MMR. This would also help killers that are not as good still see play, because you can go, oh, I can go pick Myers and not be punished for it. One of the biggest problems in the game is that I've thought this for a while too. The fact that every match is already ranked already, like your pip goes up or down every time. That if you're trying to rank up, that makes every game a sweat fest already. Because I mean, we don't take the ranking system seriously, but there's no mode in this game besides custom matches where you can go and just chill out. Unless you're playing against bad players, of course, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. If we could alleviate the amount of sweat, I agree that we need to control the amount of sweat if we do an MMR system. I do agree with that point. We do need to control that.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is, like, why is it so that people say MMR means sweaty? Like, you can see it on high Heroes of the Storm matches, for example. They all chill. They just know what they do. You know, it's not like, oh, I have to be on point of everything. It's like they are kind of chill because they're used to it. Like Dead by Daylight is not balanced to counter team play. And good survivors play as a team or play survivor friends and then bully the killer and break the game for that. But like, if the game would be balanced, what we already talked about, like those issues that are in this game since the beginning, that would not be a problem. The game would not be sweaty. You would not be like trying to catch up to the sword because the killer has the power roll in chases and tiles are not broken anymore. Like, you would not feel like that stressed. But right now you are, just because, like you said, the issues are still in the game and now are obvious because the MMR highlights that. Yeah. Like, in perfect world, if a killer can actually outskill survivors, you will get 2 kills without sweating much because the game would be balanced around the 2k to escape. And everything, and then what the killer does on top of that is the killer's skill. And if the survivors know what the killer tries to do and they play optimally against that, then the survivors might get 3 escapes and the killer loses. Or the killer counters that and the killer gets 3 kills and counters them, you know? Something like that. The base game should be around 2k to escape without too much sweating. And that's what the game will never be if they don't fix the core issues of the game.
And I mean, you're right about that, but like, in my view, you say like the killer should be chill, but like I think if you're going against an even team, that the times where I feel stressed as a killer is when I'm going against the even teams. Because when I'm playing against a 4-man Swift that gets all the gens done in 2.5 minutes, I'm laughing. Like, I'm not, like, sweating. Yeah. I'm not raging. I'm laughing. It's a joke. They shouldn't be able to do that. The times where I'm sweating is when it's, oh, this team has 1 gen left. I have 1 dead, and there's 3 left, and then there's 2 gens that are halfway done, and I'm playing as Oni, so I can still win the game off of 1 play. That's the super sweaty scene. If you balance the game and don't have a way to control the sweats, the sweaty matches will occur more often because it's like, oh, there's less. Well, when you can compete against the 4-man Swift that's dominating you, like you're laughing less and sweating more. That's my take on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I play against the Swift and they do the gens in 2 minutes, I would just setting in the check and say, hey, go on.
Yeah, but I'm getting something to eat. I'm upstairs getting something to eat if the 4th gen pops in 1 minute and 45 seconds. It's a joke.
It's like, yeah, whatever. Go in the next game and just sitting here in the queue. Queue simulator again.
Hey, welcome to the chat. Brought up a couple of interesting comments. Said people say Nurse is accepted because of a difficulty to play. If
She's
everyone
not difficult to play.
Do you not think? If everyone played Nurse, would everyone cry for a nerf? Who was talking a second ago? Nio, right? So you said you don't think she's easy. She's easy to play. Sorry.
I don't think Nurse is hard to play.
Honestly, it's one of those things that my opinion with Nurse is, and even I've had like conversations in the past about this, and when even bringing up Tatariu, when he's played a lot of Nurse, but he even said himself it took him a week to basically get consistent 4Ks over and over on Nurse. You just got to put a small amount of time into it, and honestly, once you get used to it once, it doesn't really take long to get used to it again. Whenever I played Nurse, of course, like maybe the first 2 or 3 games I would be garbage, but as soon as I get used to it again, the game just really became easy. I don't believe Nurse is a hard killer to play. It's just more of, hey, you've played the killer enough to understand it more.
Yeah. Okay, Beta Nurse. And sorry, go on, Neo. Yeah.
Well, there's not really much more to say to it. Like, I don't believe any of the killers are really difficult to play in this game.
I think
it's just.
Yeah, I think for me, and I've said it before on the podcast, is I think it's having the patience and being tough-skinned over playing on the live servers. I've said before, we've obviously got custom game, but taking that away, there's no real way to practice your new killers without going into the live service. And I think the problem is that a lot people will try, and people will get toxic chat back or the whole GG easy killer, and people then think, right, I'm going to revert to form. I do that myself. If I'm playing as Legion, say, if I get a few tough games, I'll go, right, let's just load onto Freddy and let's play again. So it is probably a lazy way of doing it, but I think that's the issue for me. Beta, your main nurse, hard to play?
I mean, I think being an experienced player and picking her up isn't as hard. Now, I can't stand competitive DBD, but I play in a league because my friend wants me to. And I will say, people that know how to play against Nurse, which is very few because people don't get experience, put a lot of fucking pressure on me. There's the wiggle runs, the ones that just run straight, but they're like wait to listen for your blink to double back, and they make you think that they're just trying to get this. Like when it becomes the ones that change their playstyle mid chase, actually make Nurse very frustrating to play sometimes if you mess up. Now, obviously, like I'm still able to do pretty decent because I do get my second blink, and that usually corrects whatever I need to, but I think in general, like the reason good nurses do pretty well in 4K a lot is a lot of survivors just don't really have to play against nurses often. But I do think there's very few like god nurses that actually will completely destroy you, in my opinion. Because I think even in like Hexy's tourney stuff, like while Nurse was the premier killer, when it wasn't Aaron and Finger Guns playing as Nurse, then there was a lot of like mistakes and still a lot of like things you could do against her that weren't even a tourney thing to do other than just like, you know, breaking line of sight. And, you know, typically a good Nurse player, when you break line of sight around a building, they're not going to blink through the building. They're going to blink to where you last were in case you double backed, and they should be able to use their second blink to correct. There's like a lot of reading and situations into it, I think, that makes you generally out-psych yourself as Nurse too. Because I think once you start getting hits and blinks rolling, you'll fall into the trap of expecting everything to hit, which is very common. I watched Otz's 50 streak thing with Nurse, and that's kind of what he did. And then some of the survivor movement was just absolutely ridiculous. Some of them that actually knew somewhat what they're doing. So, I mean, I think Nurse is incredibly hard to play, like as a new player. An average player, you know, probably takes a little bit longer. And then if you're like a really good player that understands tiles and survivor predictions, you know, it shouldn't take you too long to pick Nurse up. But I think against the good teams, which again comes down to like, you don't get those top 1% tourney teams in your like pubs. So like, it doesn't really bother me. Like I've lost games with other killers and I've won games with other killers and win enough to where I don't know, it doesn't really bother me as much. But as far as Nurse, I don't know. Nurse is, I still think she's a pretty hard killer to learn, just for the timing and stuff. And
well, okay. To answer the question though, because I don't think we've actually addressed the question yet. The question was, if Nurse was played more, would she get hate? And the answer I have to that is yes. And because you can look at the history back when she was Omega Blink. And she was when she was Omega Blink, she was objectively a lot easier because you had more room to fuck up and correct yourself. So I believe some people even said you could play Omega Blink Nurse and actually be carried. So like she did get the hate that Spirit is getting now back when she was Omega Blink. If you want to compare Omega Blink to new Nurse, that's where we would have to discuss that. But the character Nurse was getting hate back when she was more powerful pre-rework. That's why they nerfed her in the first place, because she was getting that hate. So if she was played more now, I would argue that she would get that hate that Spirit is getting.
Well, if I remember rightly, she wasn't. She's not played often. I'm trying to think of the stats that they produced before. She was quite low in the pick rate, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's very low pick rate, and I've very rarely played. I've played against a good amount of nurses, and out of all of them, maybe one or two were to the point where I felt like I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And obliterated my team. Like, I don't generally think there's the ones that play even average or decent nurses. I still don't feel like they're that good, especially when you take a nurse to Shaq, and a lot of them have no fucking clue what to do. I just don't see too many good nurses in general when I play, even with red ranks, whatever ranks you want to call.
Yeah. Okay, so I know we spoke quite in depth now about MMR and that, but something that came up, and we've touched on this before, maybe not with everybody here, but Scott John mentioned 2 killers. So we're probably on the agreement, Ness and Spirit. Who would come after that against the top teams, taking into account MMR would kick in? So who would be the next killer in that list?
No one.
Pyramid Head. Because I will stand by Pyramid Head just for the simple fact that he is the only killer that can generally force the ignoring of borrowed time and DS, and his cages are very predictable once you get a survivor in there. Even Forever Freddy on Shelter Woods in the Hexy tournament got absolutely obliterated, and if I had to say the next closest, I would say Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Head. Nio?
I honestly have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Mythical.
Part of me, like they were going to mention, part of me before would have said Freddy, but then looking at the tournament as well, yeah, Forever Freddy did get fucking obliterated, and like
yeah,
on Shelter Woods, on Shelter Woods.
So
it was awful.
Honestly, the way I see it now, I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, yeah, with the level that everything's at with the competitive tournaments, Freddy doesn't even get fucking close anymore. So, and considering before that, Freddy was the top one in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say I'd say none.
None?
None.
None.
Well, just like the closest, right? Like, it wasn't like it has to be the next one.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's
the closest,
that's
right?
what I'm thinking. So, Mythical Domino, I think I've said that right. Hag. Would anyone put Hag at number 3, maybe?
Not as long as Flashlight's counter. If they release something like an add-on or something for her that would help her against Flashlights, maybe. But until then, no.
Yeah, I kind of agree there. But in the tournament sense, Hag probably is close, but it's also very map dependent.
Yeah, Skinny.
Yeah, too map dependent.
Yeah, I've got to agree with Beta and put Pyramid Head up there just because of all the like cancel stuff he's got to like deny like some of the strongest perks. Like, he's really able to just deny any really that survivors try and bring and abuse. It's just too easy for him.
Well, how does he deny borrow time? That's the one I'm confused about.
The caging mechanic, being able, because you can predict, when you cage somebody,
right.
yeah, it's very predictable to just go over there and tunnel someone immediately off.
Because you do have to torment them first, but again, I'm on board with you now.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't. I don't know, right? It just when you get into this conversation, it's because we don't really have a high level scene. It's a far too speculative topic, because you can say that, but like when you play Pyramid Head against good teams, I don't ever get torments. I don't know about anybody else. It's really hard to torment good survivors unless you like really, really, really hard commit and force it. By the time that you do that, 2.5 gens are done.
I know a lot of people played him at the Hexy thing. Now, they didn't do well, but the torments were relatively easy. Someone I recommend going to watch is Zeno hosts tourneys on. His name is XENO. He's part of Team Oracle. He hosts and does a lot of like weekend tourneys and stuff. And a lot of people are pretty solid on playing Pyramid Head. And a lot of people still play Freddy. They have a bunch of different rules and stuff, so it's a definitely interesting little tourney scene. But they're all EU as well. So
it's interesting.
But other than that,
yeah, I think that's something we can.
That is interesting.
I mean, I'd argue not being able to torment people isn't like that big of a weakness, because if they're mid-chase with you and they're like actively avoiding a loop and you're able to get a hit out of that just because they don't want to be tormented, that's still a win. Like, you're not denying their perks, but you're
That's a
still
nice
getting a hit
movie.
where another killer would have been stuck in a loop.
Well, that's true,
Yeah,
but
his
I still
auto
think hooks
cancel
are
is still
useless.
back now too.
Like, if you were
The
to
auto
hook somebody and
cancel's
down
back.
them, like, you hook someone, hooking is bad. Hooking is useless. I think we went over that last week where we all basically agreed that a hook is useless. If you down a survivor, I think a survivor would rather be down and on a hook than be tormented and injured. Like, I would take the down if I was a survivor. I think if you were to see a high-level scene, Pyramid Heads would never get tormented because survivors would rather go down than get tormented, which will allow the hook thing to be useless, and 2.5 gens will pop on the down, and then you'll have another one pop by the time you hook somebody. I don't think that would work at high level. Kids,
Yeah.
it shouldn't work.
Well, a few people have chipped in. So Freddy's been mentioned a lot. Hag, Red Room, my boy Doctor. Now, I used to think Doctor was quite good at high level, but I disagree now. I think he's got too many counters against him. The boy Doctor. Huntress or Myers. Huntress, you do see some good Huntresses around. Myers, I think, is a weak killer. Please, guys, if anyone thinks or disagrees with me, just jump in and stop me. But I don't think Myers is strong at all. Billy, maybe. Billy, maybe. He's obviously got the lethality, and the mobility, but again, I think he's quite easily countered. Dave Rhino, Freddy, probably. Yeah, I mean that's who I'd personally put closest, but I am going to go watch these tournaments and see how Freddy got his ass handed to him. Okay, Joe Cobra, what are your thoughts on the PTB feedback and periodic surveys he asks us to fill in? So, guys, yeah, PTB feedback, what do you think? Now, we didn't mention this because I think it might have come out after, but they did announce some changes to the Trickster.
Changes. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
That's putting it very lightly. Oh, I'm excited to tackle this one.
My initial impression when I seen it was great. You've had all the feedback. You only have to look on and see everyone's feedback. Now, I know Nio, I know you enjoyed the Trickster, but I still think you had some ideas of things you could change, and they don't seem to have listened. So, what is the point of the PTB then?
Jay, I barely play DBD right now because I had too much fun when Trickster was in the game that I don't want to play DBD.
Really?
Yeah, I find it difficult to play. I haven't played DBD properly, other than the only time I ever really went to go play DBD was when a friend asked me to play, or when the MMR was in, and that didn't last long because I couldn't get a game. I haven't had fun in DBD since the PTB.
Right.
So yeah, when Blight came out, that was the only killer I played on stream for like 2 weeks straight, and Blight was the last killer I've enjoyed that much. Still play.
So it literally just these changes that they've made to him. Can I just have it that I can activate my what's the ability
Main
called?
event.
It's
Main event.
Yeah, can I just let me activate main event on a button press and make it that it doesn't go away over time? That's literally all I want on him. I don't care if he's not powerful enough or just weak. I don't care if he's a crappy killer. That is all I want. Yeah. Because I found the killer fun, but I found that frustrating as fuck, and they do this, which just limited main event even fucking more.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. You know, it was so loud and clear, the changes that would have been good for him. And I always say, you know, we can all come up with different opinions and we can all say this will work. But does it smack of arrogance a bit? Because they don't listen from the PTB feedback. And it's like, you've made the killer weaker. You know, you haven't listened to the majority of content creators who have. I don't know anybody who hasn't suggested making the main event, you know, to be able to activate it whenever you want. A bit like Oni's power. Does it smack of arrogance, guys?
Yeah, it definitely does. But like I just like, yeah, we could sit here and go on and on and on about this, but like, it's just new. Like I'm so numb to this stuff at this point. Like, I'm just so numb to it. Like, yeah, they don't listen, guys. They're never gonna make the killers good. What do you think they were gonna do? Buff him? Of course they weren't gonna buff him.
Yeah,
He's weak. He's right where they want him.
What's the last significant killer buff that we've had that was actually shouldn't have already been included in base kit? I can think of like Demogorgon's Shred when it didn't break pallets, but again, that should have been included. Like, I don't know when they like Spirit, they did technically buff, but that's so fucking long ago, man.
That's just that's you'd have to go back a long time. But I don't.
Yeah, like.
Well, the recently nerfed Spirit, I know that was mentioned by Hey again. What do you think about the bug when Spirit's breathing was directional? Is that still happening now? Wait, and sort of hear which way she's coming from?
Ooh, that hasn't happened.
They fixed that
a while back.
Right.
Yeah, they fixed that a
Yeah.
I liked it, but it didn't really matter. I feel like because people like good spirits just burst power, so they have their power back within like second loops and stuff anyway.
Yeah. So,
in my opinion, the spirit should have the fucking thing that Legion has, is when you left click someone, the power should go down.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Why is that on Legion, by the way? I've always wondered.
Oh, thank you telling us this one on stream. It's to discourage rushing down a survivor you've just M1'd with your non-lethal power and then suffering a 4-second cooldown just for an easier, quicker down.
Oh, right.
That's exactly how I play Legion too.
Non-lethal power.
Non-lethal power, by the way.
Just chase.
Honestly, they could move that on Spirit, and I don't think anybody would complain.
It should be on Spirit because
That's
it's
all.
insane.
Honestly, that's one of the main things I just want on Spirit. Like, honestly, the directional breathing would be nice. The directional breathing was amazing, but when that came in, I was happy, and I'm like, please don't fix this bug. I know you're gonna fix this bug, but please don't fix it. And then you got the fucking, and then if they just added this, it would prevent, hitting and then straight away using your power to down them instantly. At least they would have to wait for a bit to get their power back.
I love playing Spirit, and even I wouldn't mind if they just made it to where her phasing when you're playing Spirit is so loud you can't hear survivors. And Strider should never be allowed on Spirit. Don't at me.
I think Strider hinders it, to be honest, because you'll be thinking you're right on top of someone, you're actually like 5 meters back from them.
It takes some getting used to, doesn't it?
I disagree with that.
If Iron Will wasn't such a
Depends
like
on the headset,
commonly
I
played
think.
perk, if Iron Will wasn't such a commonly played perk, I'd take Strider off.
That was the reason why I disagree.
Well, you know what? From my experience with Spirit, like, I think Iron Will is countered by being decent anyway. Like, just following the scratch marks. I think the scratch marks are enough, honestly.
Oh, the
9
scratch
times out of
marks
10
are
you
so
still
bad
get 'em.
now, though. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Scratch marks are
Scratch
terrible.
marks have sent me into the shadow
that's
realm
dev,
now.
That's dev problem.
I am trash. Where's the report we were promised last week? I'm trying to think. Did I promise any reports last week, guys?
Oh, yeah,
that's
Rosie.
me. Fuck. That's me.
Did you pull it
Hold
out?
on. Let me grab my computer. Hold on.
All right. What
gotta
report
do-
was it?
I wrote a.
Oh, of
I don't
course.
know if
Yeah,
it-
yeah. Yep. It's just clicked. I've just remembered what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I did my one of my college class, not college, one of my master's classes. I did about Dead by Daylight being shit and got an A. Hold on, let me find that. I'll mute while I find that.
Turns
Oh,
out the
that's beautiful. That's fucking
teacher plays
beautiful.
Dead by Daylight. It's just like, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
You have an A.
While
She
Rosie,
used to be a developer and got fired for making good suggestions.
While Rosie's looking for that, can I jump on my piece about Trickster's changes? in
yeah,
Big
of
Air
course,
Quotes?
yeah.
Please.
It's baffling to me that they somehow managed to make the already situational, useless, like tacked on, in my opinion, like power even more useless. It's baffling to me they managed to one up themselves and prove everyone wrong and somehow make something that was already terrible worse. But the problem with him is like the fact that when you walk around normally, you're 110, 4.4. This is a known fact. but whenever you pull out your knives, you drop to 3.68. Whether you're in main event or not, you drop, and then you get slower, unless you're in main event, of course. You get slower for every single knife you spam throw. So, to me, that says, well, why is he already slower than survivors when he pulls them out? Surely he should be faster, if not on pace with the survivor when he pulls them out. That way, then when you do start spamming, then you're hindered, rather than the fact that you're hindered from the moment you pull it out. Because the thing is, because that slowdown still applies to main event, and the new main event where you're forced to spam, you're now put in a situation where it's like, okay, here's a survivor about to run a loop. I've got main event up. I pop my main event, I slow to 3.68, and I'm stuck spamming knives with this garbage recoil that I can barely control. The survivor's gone around the corner and they're disappeared. I'm then placed in a situation, do I cancel main event and lose the power, presumably completely back to zero, because I doubt they'd let you keep any meter you had left. And then at that point, you'd be like, well, what was the point in main event? Or do you run the loop differently? You don't use main event, and instead you run it with your normal knives, where you have complete control over whether you tap fire or not, can drop out of it at any time with zero hindrance, and can like speed yourself back to 110. It's just baffling to me that they didn't take into account anything with his speed problems. I mean, I can kind of overlook them not doing anything about the 8 knives thing. You know, I would have loved them to have changed that and to have made it less knives to injure. That would have been fine. But the fact they didn't, it's fine. You know, it was manageable in the PTB. That's not a major concern. But his movement speed is a primary concern, because he doesn't play like other 110 killers. Other 110 killers, they rely, well, I say 110 killers, Spirit's 110, she doesn't have a range attack. But other ranged killers, they rely mostly on their ranged ability. That's why they're slower. That's part of it. But Trickster plays like Clown almost, in the way that he uses his knives not as a lethality tool, but as a way to push survivors in the ways he wants them to go. I said when I was playing him on the PTB, 9 times out of 10, I wasn't aiming for injures with my knives. I was using them to bait survivors into playing themselves into a bad position so I could get an easy M1. He plays kind of like Clown does, with corralling people along, using your knives to push them where you want them to be. But they balance him like he's another Huntress, but they're completely different play styles for 2 different range killers. It's annoying to me that they didn't do anything to it, and he's now just still this like weaker, like off-brand, like Aldi knockoff Huntress.
Yeah, I mean, the annoying thing.
Yeah, I like the play comparison.
Yeah, the annoying thing for me was that actually I'd have rather they didn't change nothing. I'd have rather they just went, yeah, we're releasing him as he was in the PTB, but to actually make changes that were the opposite of what people were saying, I think that was a bit more of a kick in the teeth. It was just like, what? You know, what are these changes that are going on? It was so underwhelming. It was just like, right. And as I say, I would have preferred it if they just said, we're releasing him. They'd already made their mind up beforehand, but it just baffles me at sometimes what game are they watching. As I say, I've looked to see if anybody has actually said that the Trickster's quite good and they don't need any changes, but it's all been negative in regards to people saying he needs this change and he needs that change and he needs that change, and I just didn't take notice of any of it. It's quite quite annoying.
I don't know why they don't just release or just have an overpowered killer, like just to like, you can nerf later, do it like Smite does and release a god and then nerf them like 6 times in a month or whatever and have them still be good. Like, just go all in, just fucking let him throw like 10 knives and then he pulls out a shuriken that can fucking boomerang and down like multiple survivors. Like, just do something, do something worth like nerfing or something.
He pulls out Yondu's dart and just like run away.
He does do him like Genji from fucking Overwatch or whatever. Just have him just do something.
Well, that's and this is why I'm
somersault.
And this is,
well, you know, that's the kind of stuff that, like, I mean, you're talking about that. That's the kind of stuff they should do. Like, it's frustrating when a killer comes out and is immediately nerfed. I agree with that. But like at the same time, those clips you can get on the PTB when their powers are really, really insane, like that kind of stuff, it gets shared all over if you're in any social media groups of this game. I remember on Haddonfield when True got that insane clip as Bubba and when he was reworked and he got like 3 downs with infectious. That was shared all over social media and the player base was loving it. Like it was great. That was the most hype that I've seen from this player base in a long time when he was able to pull that off. Granted, the survivors they shouldn't have gotten down there, but like it was still really fun to watch that happen and everyone was enjoying it. You can nerf the power later if you don't like it. Just let people go up and let people get excited about the game for it again. Like, just goddamn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go on, Nio.
The fact of Trickster, when the Trickster came out, that there was no clips. I haven't honestly seen any clips showing the Trickster being powerful, and every single clip you see of Trickster is literally just winking at the screen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Style over substance. Style over substance. Hey, mentioned, even True said that they're scared to make another strong killer so they don't upset the other side. And that's where, I know I don't want to go back and start talking about MMR in depth, but that is where I see the issue. And I'm hoping that if they do implement MMR, that they start seeing this more and releasing strong killers. The last strong killer we've had, I know people, will probably disagree, but the only time when a killer has come out and I've thought, yeah, he's quite good, it's Pyramid Head. That's the last one. I know we've got Blight mains in here. I know we've got, people who play twins. But for me, I don't think they're that good.
Pyramid Head was the last one that had a noticeable ripple on the community because for at least a month after his release, you would get so many games where there'd be no obsession because people were thinking, well, what's the point in Decisive now? This guy exists. Yeah. It's like, yeah, he can counter it. But that doesn't, it's just the fact that that's the last time we've seen any noticeable difference to the Survivor meta. I mean, it came right back once people realized they weren't going to be going against that many Pyramid Heads. But, that was the last time the Survivors in fact, it's the only time Survivors genuinely changed their meta because of something that happened. Like, that needs to happen more often. I mean, the DS change comes out with the update this Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is I was on the PTB. I completely forgot that change was even a thing because you didn't notice. People, you couldn't really tell that there was the DS change was in effect because you just wouldn't. Like, people would still play it as if it was as it was now. The only real difference was if you specifically saw someone get unhooked and then touch a gen, then you knew you could go for them. That was the only time you noticed it because outside of that, someone could get unhooked on the other side of the map, and if you're not paying attention, you don't remember that was the dude who just come off hook. You're still going to get DS like you would previously. Now, I mean, it's still a healthy change. I'm not saying that the change is bad. I'm just saying that it's worrying that it's probably the most recent time next to when Pyramid Head came out that they're going to affect the Survivor meta, and it's probably going to go unnoticed just because the fact that it doesn't really feel that different.
I think the twins would have been better received had it not come with the just most abysmal chapter release that I have ever seen in the history of this game. I think that killed any sort of hype and stuff. And I agree with the Pyramid Head thing because the people on forums and on Facebook groups were absolutely just so upset that Pyramid Head's abilities, he cancels borrow DS, he cancels we're gonna live forever and we'll make it, and it's like, yeah, but he also doesn't get pop value. People were up in arms about Pyramid Head.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Insane.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad to be on those groups at that time because that's all anybody would talk about. After the 17th one, it's like, how are these still getting approved? We get
counters everything.
Yeah.
Like Plague counters literally so many damn things, and even Plague didn't get that much of a hatred when she came out.
No, because Pyramid Head was actually strong in chases. The chase was 15 seconds and everyone was down when he came out. They nerfed him and they brought him a tier back down, which is something that they should not do. Bring a killer out, make him overpowered, and make the people play against him and learn how to play against that guy.
It's like they tell you when you get a haircut. It's you can always take more off, but you can't put it back. Just do it with that. Release Oni with let him throw his weapon in addition to his Charlie. Just do stuff like that, and then we can just start from there and we can nerf it. Make the PTB mean something,
The thing is, the joke when it comes to fucking killers game is
new killer comes out, it's overpowered, gets nerfed fucking instantly, and doesn't even have enough time for it to be in the actual game to fucking do anything.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned
if people think something's overpowered, at least let it go into the game first to see. Oh, okay. Now we can generally see this is a problem because people are actually playing the fucking killer. Because let's be honest, no one fucking plays the PTB. Other
And
than
people
the
who do
fucking
play it
monster
don't play it
contact.
seriously.
That's
Yeah,
the key. They don't
just-
play it seriously. They just mess around. You know, so
Yeah.
most of them want to see
If people
more
think
of them.
something's overpowered, at least let it go into the game first and give it some time, and don't. And it's just terrible because you see these things where people complain about a killer being overpowered, but they haven't even played the game. But the killer hasn't been out for a week, and people haven't even got fucking used to versing the killer. Pyramid Head being one of them. People complained about how OP Pyramid Head was, and people didn't even have time to get used to versing a Pyramid Head.
It's because they're
It's
stubborn.
a fucking joke.
Yeah,
They're stubborn.
literally
They don't
the
want to
only
dedicate too
problem-
much time to it.
Yeah, the only problem with Pyramid Head at release was just him seeing where his cages were. In my opinion, that was literally
Yes,
the
that
only
was
thing
it.
that I had a problem with.
And even then, that has residue effects today because of the fact you used to be able to see where those cages were, you can
They
actually
automatically
kind
spawn
of
farthest
pinpoint
away
where
from
they
you
are.
too. Yeah,
So,
and
like,
you
Yeah,
get a
the-
notification when they're unhooked from it too, which is also kind of annoying.
you can still the fact that we had that information once means that information never really goes away. IMO.
I mean, yeah,
We might as
whenever
well
I
left
use
it
my
in,
cage, I
and,
know
like-
exactly where it is.
Yeah,
That's
I
because
mean,
it's predictable.
I am Dementia. You've mentioned that you think it was Orny, the last strong killer. You've also asked about Pyramid Head being nerfed. You remember they didn't let him see where cages are because they would immediately just tunnel the person because borrowed time and DS didn't work with cages. Did they change his range attack as well? So they put a cooldown on that? Am I right in thinking that?
No, what they did was
They reduced it.
They reduced the cooldown, but the thing that really hurt him was they made it when you cancel it, you're stuck for a longer
That's it.
period of time.
That's
that
the
was
one.
the really bad nerf that made.
But
him
the bad
really
part
hurt.
is that doesn't even do anything hardly. And then now there's also, you know how the nurse had her fatigue cancel glitch. There's also a the M1 M2 cancel with the Pyramid Head that you can still do and get the old Pyramid Head back. So it's literally and it's so easy to do. It's insane. It's just that simple.
Yeah. All right, I think that is everything from me. So I don't know, guys on chat, do you have any questions? Anything else you'd like us to discuss? Or guys on chat, if you have anything else you want to bring up, whether you want to see Rosie and Skinny in a boxing ring together, or Scott
Has Rosie
Jones.
dug up that? Has Rosie dug up
Skinny
that
would
report?
Skinny would shut me down, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm putting
I
him in my
haven't-
WWE game. That's what I'm doing.
Who
Good
we need
stuff,
on
bro.
here? We do need Scott Jund on here.
Oh my
for you
goodness,
and
bro.
you and
I
Scott to
can
get your
try.
differences out.
I can try. I can try my best.
Oh,
He's
God.
responded to some of my comments
Oh,
and some of my
goodness
tweets.
gracious.
I
You
can,
got the clout.
I can summon the Scott Jund. I can try, guys. I can try.
Don't forget, you gotta get a little needle and poke your skin first, bro.
I'll,
Do some big
I'll
plague
pay
chants.
him. I'll have to pay him per minute. That's what I'll do.
Yeah,
Commissioning for his
Peter,
time.
if you can try, I think that'd be amazing because I think we
And we got
We can-
Terrico, and he's
we
pretty
can-
big, right?
we can get them together.
Yeah, but he's big because he plays Little
He just
Nightmares now.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just blew up because of the Little Nightmares too.
Yeah,
as
he's
well.
doing
I saw
well,
his
isn't he?
videos.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There is one question from Reaper Tech. You guys thinking about quitting Dead by Daylight? I'll answer first. At the minute, no. But I am interested in the Evil Dead game when that comes out. I don't know if you haven't seen it.
Oh yes.
There's trailers
For
and
Blood.
that
I am
looks-
so fucking hyped for that.
Am I thinking of the same thing? Isn't that the Back for Blood game or something? Or am I missing something?
No.
It's the one with Ash. It's from the Evil Dead film. So they've brought
Oh,
out
they're
a-
actually going through with it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's trailers out for it. So
And hopefully Ash won't be the worst character in that game.
yeah.
Nah,
well,
he'll get the Mario and Smash treatment. He'll get that treatment where you think, oh, it's the recognizable guy. Surely he'll be nice trash.
yeah. So what about the rest
Who
of
knew
you
Sonic
guys,
would
then?
be a better character?
What rest of you? Beta, are you planning on quitting anytime soon? He's gone.
He went to poke his skin with the needle, bro.
He al-
He's beginning the
already
incantation.
quit.
He's beginning the
He already
incantation.
quit. He was already quit. It started with the podcast.
Who's already quit?
Whoever's not here when you asked that question.
Yeah, he's gone already. Nio,
did you say beta?
are you planning on quitting any point?
Considering my entire streams and everything these days consists of me playing Bayonetta, fucking Minecraft, and Alien Isolation, we will see after this update.
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever truly quit this game, but I'm certainly playing the game a lot less.
Yeah. Skinny, what about yourself?
Depends on MMR and how long it takes them after implementing it, if they implement it, to do anything with the information it perceives to them.
Yeah. Cptsalty, you've quit a few times.
Yeah, well, I'm not playing that much. I'm playing more Identity TV, and yeah, I'm just waiting for them to react to the MMR and then hopefully do what's necessary and balance the tiles and stuff.
Yeah.
To make Clown viable.
I have said, Rosie, you are playing Identity 5 quite a lot. Is that you done with DVD?
Yes, I am. Well, the problem with me is I have very limited, very limited access to. Well, I could play this. I could play DVD on Switch, but I would rather not.
Yeah.
I'm a big console dude, so I would need the PS4. I just don't have as much access to it as I would particularly enjoy. So I play it when I can. Is Trickster coming out this week? I think I'll be on this week for sure, but mostly just it's been Identity V for me. It's just significantly better, dude. There's no other way to I get my fix in Identity V.
Trickster's scheduled for this Tuesday.
He is, isn't he? 23rd, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, probably around 4 o'clock.
Can we have like every fucking entitled fucking Survivor player play fucking Identity V for 3 days and find out what true fucking tunneling is?
Yeah.
If you want to know what,
I think that's actually a sanctioned form of torture, like on the Geneva Convention, that you're not allowed to do it.
Seriously,
But no one complains about that. Like, the community of Identity 5 is like, yeah, sure, it killer tries to kill us, you know, he does everything he can do to do it. And David D is like, oh, I couldn't outplay him in loops. The killer OP.
It's the same way with Friday. Like, nobody cared about Friday and just people, you know, Jason just ripping your dick off, you know.
But yeah, you got one chance and you're dead in that game. When
Yeah,
you thought you were just done.
Yeah, that's Monstrum 2 as well. Like, if the monster catches you, you're dead.
Tommy.
You're dead. Like, in Monstrum 2...
Monstrum 2 still a thing?
It's died a very slow death. I think last time I checked...
I think 4 people play it, probably.
Yeah.
Is it holding on? It's holding on.
Yeah, it's...
4 people play it, 2 of them are alt accounts.
Yeah, it's on a it's on life support machine at the minute. Just waiting for that switch to be...
What is that game released for?
The GameCube or something like that, right? Something really old. I'm just kidding.
I don't even know why they made Monstrum 2, because the first one's nothing. It's not even the same ballpark as DVD. Why did they think, oh, we have this IP, let's make a DVD style game using this IP we've already got? It's like you're dragging the original game through the mud. The original game's really fun, but it's not even the same type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was fucking cry.
I was very disappointed when I played Monstrum. I was just like, yeah, this, and it wasn't good. However, I was disappointed because DVD needs competition. We've said that all along. It does need that good competition. This is why I'm excited about Evil Dead. I know I'm Dementia's put on.
I'm waiting for Identity 5 to port to consoles.
Yeah.
Same. You know, the fact is, you cannot challenge Dead by Daylight. I know console gaming is like a thing of the past, but like, you cannot realistically challenge Dead by Daylight to Red Tyranny over this genre without a console release and a strong IP. You cannot do it. Dead by Daylight is known as the Super Smash Brothers of horror. That's
I'm
another
surprised
challenge.
y'all
It was-
are
it was
talking
the-
about Back for Blood. Like, I feel like that Back for Blood game might be really good.
I mean,
When's
it's a
that
different.
Remember,
It's a different
Comes
kind of
out-
thing, isn't it?
April or May, right? Well, I mean, isn't it going to be just, it's the same makers of like Left 4 Dead, so any sort of like team play game, even if it's like a different concept, like people are playing that game instead or something. I don't know. I feel like it'll
True,
be a
true.
pretty, maybe okay.
I think the
don't know.
problem with DBD is it's got a market dominance. You know, it was the first of its
Yeah.
kind. It was its own brand new IP. Now it's risen to a point where like you try and stack up to that, and you have to try and completely like hurdle it. You basically have to leap a skyscraper just to top DBD now, because this genre, this thing is established now as the DBD genre. You don't, when DBD came about, it was just sort of, it didn't have a genre beyond like asymmetrical, but that's, you know, it didn't have a genre. Now you try and make a thing, constantly you hear, oh, it's like DBD, or oh, it's a copy of DBD, because this game came first, this game grew first, and this game has market dominance. So it's going to be really difficult for anyone to really stack up, because now there's an established line you need to cross. Before, when DBD started, there was no line. It just appeared, and everyone was like, "Oh, cool!" So they put this as the bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the
And
line.
This
there's
is
another
why
thing, just for the sake of crossplay, just for the sake of crossplay as well, because I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, one of the main things that keeps the game alive is crossplay. It's one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that keeps the game alive. And when a game like DBD comes out, or a competitor to DBD, it's not crossplay, because it generally doesn't have enough time to even get to the point where it could be crossplay. Like, you see so many games on, for example, there was the game what, you know, that Resident Evil multiplayer game?
Yeah.
Resistance.
How
Yeah.
quickly how that died on fucking PC, yet the console version was still relatively popular. And just for a game to stay alive, needs to have crossplay in this day of age, especially when it comes to a game that is an asymmetrical game like DBD.
Yeah.
And just no asymmetrical games have gotten to the point where they have been asymmetrical, because
And you need the
simply they
right
just-
balance. The power roll should be
think-
on the killer side always.
Yeah, I think the closest might have been that After Years game or whatever it was called.
last year, or
Yeah, whatever it
last
was with
year,
the
the Nightmare.
spider killer thing.
Yeah,
I
last
think.
year, the Nightmare. That actually, I was looking into that one day, like, because it looked
I
genuinely
own
fun.
it.
And I went to go and get it, and then before I went and bought it, I saw that the Steam chart numbers were really dire. Like, people were barely playing it, so I thought, maybe I'll stay clear. But it looked quite fun. There was some character concepts in that. I thought I'd see these as like characters. I enjoy
spider.
these characters.
The spider was.
I'm not a
really
fan of the
Some
spider on
content.
account of my arachnophobia, but you know the
Some content creators made content on it too for a little bit,
Right.
but it got out.
last year had a chance. It had a chance,
Alex,
and it had a damn good one.
what was that? Sorry.
Last year had a damn good
Oh.
chance of actually competing to DVD. Just when you go into the Discord and it said, "We shall give you information soon. More information coming out soon." Really, they've spent all their money on their trailer and they're expecting people to buy the game without seeing actual gameplay.
Yeah.
Literally.
Alex,
Well, see, that's the other thing. This genre has been relatively low budget. Like that's another thing that, like, it's as crude and as low budget as the movies it emulates, which is like extremely. It's interesting though when you think
I didn't
you
realize-
really think about it, because
Correct.
you've never seen a very big budget game of this magnitude. You really haven't. You have to work through those budget limitations. Every game of this genre, every patch has a huge list of bugs that are fixed. Every single. It's just really funny to me, dude. Like what would happen if you put a bigger budget with this genre?
Yeah, that's it. And this is what we're saying, is that Dead by Daylight has grown and grown and grown. You've got licensed characters. You've got it must be making quite a bit of money, I should imagine, with cosmetics and things like that. But
They made 100 million before expenses in 2018.
right, so not bad going, unless their expenses were 110 million, I suppose.
So pretty insane for a game like that.
I am trash. He keeps asking about this report. Rosie, where is this report?
He really wants to see it. Okay, well, I don't know
to.
how much you guys want to hear about it. I was just kind of waiting for everybody for us to get done, and I was just gonna deal with it at the end. So that way, if anyone that doesn't want to hear me do this, it doesn't
honestly,
happen, you know what I mean?
You not drop the doc in the thing?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I am trash.
I would have to make a few edits because I got to get my school and my.
I won't be able to
and
listen to all of it, but I would actually love to read it. That would be great.
Okay. I'll make a few edits to it and I'll see what I can do. It does have to be explained to outsiders though, so there's a lot of stuff here that everyone is gonna already know about. Because when you have to, you guys should understand. Because you gotta educate the people.
Yeah, you got to expect them to have no prior knowledge.
Yeah. So it's 26 slides. It's a PowerPoint because I was gonna have to actually present on it. Fun fact, but then the presentation got canceled because the teacher's dad. I guess maybe he had COVID. I'm not sure, but like I've never gotten to present this.
Yeah. Well, your chances right now. No.
Right.
Well, once we're done, everybody's.
If you can put it in the Discord, maybe would that be easy enough? Just to put the slide in there or the pictures or something, and then we can have a look at it there. So
make him present it. Make him present it on YouTube.
I could present it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'm really itching to get onto this thing that Alex is trying to
make. It's actually really exciting.
Yeah, Alex, I'm really sorry. So, Alex, you need to get into Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals. He said, did you answer my question? Ever heard of Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals? Anybody heard of that?
I have. It's, funnily enough, it has a Monstrum DLC.
Oh, has it? A Monstrum DLC? That sounds like...
Yeah, it has a Monstrum DLC where they've got two of the monsters from Monstrum and one of the survivors. So weirdly enough, it further baffles me why Monstrum tried to square up to DBD when they already have their IP in another game that's squaring up to DBD. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I have heard of it. I've just not played it. Yeah.
And it's supposedly
Pac-Man.
It's getting the Silent Hill DLC. I mean, that's surely a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Neo. It's like horror Pac-Man. I think.
Is it the one where they go collect the crystals and?
Yeah, that's like the original Dark Deception. Then the Monsters and Mortals one is you pick between two roles. You pick between Mortals, which is just the normal people, and the Monsters, which is obviously the ones that chase you. And I don't quite know the gameplay myself because I haven't played it, but I think it's very similar to the originals. But the difference being, obviously, the monsters are player controlled, and if I'm not mistaken, the monsters can actually fight each other. Like it's like a square up sort of like. They're on the monster team, but like, no, I don't think there's teams. I think everyone plays their own, and you either pick a mortal or a monster. I don't know. I haven't played it, but I know the general concept.
Could be interesting. I might have to give it a look because I actually did like the original game.
They had an average players of 20 players in March, so let's get this game rolling, baby.
Well,
I didn't know the
Silent Hill chapter just came out, so guess what? That's about to boost.
I didn't know the Silent Hill chapter had like an actual trailer now.
I legit hope it does.
Last time I heard about the Silent Hill chapter, it was just like a little teaser with some footage from previous Silent Hill games. There was no gameplay of the new characters yet. So if that has gameplay now, if that's what a trailer is floating around for, I might have a look at that. I want to see what they're going to do with. Obviously, Pyramid Head's going to get put in it because who else are you going to put in from Silent Hill?
So, yeah, that's something we can all check out. I've wrote it down. I'm like, Dark Deception, check out. So I will check it out, Alex, after
I do have a question. Was that the one where they had Cheryl like climbing the ladder thing and then Pyramid Head grabbed her? Is that where I saw that graphic or that cinematic thing from? Is that what that was from? I saw someone post something like that with like a Cheryl in it or whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm not sure. I thought that was pretty cool episode and actually sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely something worth checking out. Like I said, Silent Hill's quite a big chapter for them as well, so we will check that out, Alex. Right, very last question, guys. Dave Rhino, favourite killers to play against in DBD? Mine would be... My favourite killer would probably be... Billy. I enjoy playing against a Billy. Or a Bubba. One of the two chainsaw ones. Beta Nurse, favourite killer to play against?
Probably Spirit Nurse and Billy. Sometimes Pyramid Head because I enjoy mad some of them get when I do random jukes on their thing at safe pallets.
Yep. Okay. Neo.
I think there's a biased side of Legion because I like to verse a Legion considering I main Legion.
Yeah.
But I would probably have to say Billy and Blight.
Billy and Blight. Okay. Cptsalty.
Every killer. I don't care.
You don't care. All right, Rosie. You're gonna say that.
Pyramid Head, bro.
Pyramid
There's nothing like. I think his. I just wish that his attack was less reactable, the punishment. But they have almost everything right with him being able to just shoot through, and you're never being 100% safe. You have to consistently outplay him in order to juke him, and I think that's good. He's the one that should be the standard for balance in this game.
Yeah, I can
Agree.
Okay, Skinny. Favorite killer to play against?
Blight, Legion, Trickster, those kind of killers. They're fun.
Right. Okay. I'll ask again. Okay, so I'll switch a question around. Who's your least favorite killer to play against, Beta Nurse?
Probably the man known as Deathslinger, and can't think of any other killer. Just Deathslinger is just they all play the same. Not even in chase, but I mean they just all seem to have a vendetta against me. Don't know why.
All right, for me personally, it would be Huntress. So I just cannot play against a Huntress. Neo.
Spirit or Hag.
Spirit or Hag.
Spirit
yeah.
or Hag.
Yeah.
Fucking hate Hag.
Yeah. It's because once she snowballs, that's it. It's game over, isn't it? Cptsalty, do you have a least favorite killer?
Huntress, because I don't like to get hit by kitchen by fucking fridges all the time.
Semi truck.
Or a truck. Or a bus.
Yeah. Rosie?
Oh, my real answer is also Huntress because of the same aforementioned reason. I don't like when she throws a hatchet and it doesn't hit me, but it still does. But in order just to add variety to it a little bit, I would say in terms of interactivity between you and the killer, Ghostface and the Wraith promote zero gameplay. They just call you out when you're healing and you get downed, and there's very little you can do about it if you have committed to the heal at a weird spot. It's just there is no chase with those two at all, and that is they're very boring to go against for that reason.
Which is why I like to play them, because
but
the chase doesn't benefit the killer.
Horrible to go against in terms of fun factor.
But now you're on the POV of fun again, which you criticize on Cubane.
Yeah. They said who's my least favorite killer to go against. You took my real answer. I just thought I would add variety to it.
Oh.
Skinny, for yourself?
Bubba, Slinger, to a lesser degree, Spirit.
Yeah. Okay. Ryan Anderson, Spirit is the most fun to play against. Yeah, a few people have said that. Demo
Your opinion is wrong.
Plague. Dusty says Plague is boring to go against. Hey, I like going against strong killers. Reaper Tech, you watched the Silent Hill Dark Deception trailer. It looks really fun. So, we'll have to have a look at that. Demogorgon is good. Freddy is your least favourite. Mystical Domino. Alex, Freddy, Twins, and the Clown are the most unfun killers to play against.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's it, guys. So thank you very much.
Are you fucking kidding me? Can we stop? Can we please do the topics that we planned? Like Identity TV versus DBD. What can DBD learn from Identity TV and stuff like that? We had the big list of what we did next podcast. We said it in the last 5 minutes of the last podcast.
Yeah.
MMR through a steamroller.
MMR
if you want, we can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If
what
you-
we'll do, we'll
We do our own podcast now.
we'll definitely do it. We'll definitely do
Because
it
your
next
host
week.
can't fucking go after the script, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Any of you have the game downloaded? Let's just turn this into an Identity V stream and just play it.
Yeah, we'll do that
That's big game.
next week, Captain Salty. I promise. So I know. It's just I am running out of time. So, but thanks again for coming on, guys. It's much appreciated. Beta, if you can try to get Scott Jun to come on for next time, bring him along, and we'll see if we can resolve the differences between him and
word of
Rosie.
advice. Don't tell him I'm here. Let that be the little surprise.
Oh no!
You don't think he'll do his research and look up previous episodes?
Yeah, he'll definitely that would not work at all. That would be terrible.
Well, you know
hey,
what?
do you want to join here with Meme Guy?
Well, no. Actually, to be fair, if he try to get him on, and if he agrees and doesn't want me on, I will not be here next time. I won't do it. I'll let you guys get him if he agrees to come on, and I won't be on. I'll do that for you guys.
Yeah.
I would rather have Farmer John here. Like,
I think Captain Salty will do my point of view justice.
oh yeah.
So yeah, all right, and also a chat. Thank you for all the questions. So it was quite busy tonight in regards to questions. So really appreciate that, and we will get going now. It will be available to watch, obviously, all the way through, and I will put the first 3 episodes of the series on Spotify. I will do it tomorrow. All right, guys. So